signing for Leeds. So, James Trafford has left City. Is the World Cup winning captain Rodri on his way out too? Dharmesh?
Let's make this clear, first of all, from Manchester City's perspective, they want to keep Rodri. They want to tie him down to a new contract. Now, throughout this summer, we do know the talk has been he's into the final year of his contract. Will he sign a new deal, or will Manchester City cash in the final window that they realistically can cash in? Real Madrid appear to be the likely destination for Rodri, but now another club has come in with interest, and it's not just any club, because Real Madrid know all about this one. It's Barcelona, and Barcelona have entered the fray to try and sign Rodri. If he doesn't sign a new contract at Manchester City and then Man City decide that they are going to sell, it's thought that Barcelona have got a degree of confidence that he might choose Barcelona over Real Madrid. If you go back to the World Cup, he was a captain of that World Cup Spanish team. 8 Barcelona players were in that squad as well, so he will know a lot of that squad, will Rodri. Having said all of that, the ball is still in City's court in one way, because regardless of whether he signs a new contract or not, he still is under contract for another year. So it's going to be up to Manchester City to decide, do we keep him and forego a transfer fee and then allow him to go for free next summer? But as it stands, it's Real Madrid and Barcelona who want Rodri, and because they both want him, it's going to put the price up, because now suddenly City could play both clubs against each other.
But Michael, numbers being talked about are between 43 and 51 million pounds. This is a Ballon d'Or winner. This is, as Dharmesh says, the World Cup winning captain. He's worth 3-4 times that. Why would City sell him for peanuts?
But they won't want to. I mean, Enzo Maresca, when he joined Manchester City, he's got a very tough job on his hands replacing many people feel one of the greatest of all time. And what a job you've got anyway. And to have it without Rodri, that is tough. And you'd feel with Enzo Maresca, knowing Enzo Maresca, like we're getting to know him from his Chelsea days, I'm sure Rodri would have been in conversation when those talks took place. And I'd be really surprised if they didn't say to him, of course you're going to have Rodri. For me, it would need Rodri to tell Enzo Maresca and Manchester City, I want to go now. Because for me, a Rodri-less Manchester City next season is going to be very tough.
We're talking about the pricing though, Mike.
Yeah, go on.
Manchester City could point towards Newcastle United selling Bruno Guimaraes for £75 million. Two differences though. Bruno Guimaraes is 28, he's going to be 29 later on this year. Rodri has just turned 30, and I know people go on about when a player turns 30. You don't stop being a good player if you're
I
completely
30.
Agree with that, but he has entered the final year of his contract.
Yeah. So why wouldn't City hang on and go, do you know what? Give us another year, win us the title, away you go. Because it's not enough money to sell him now,
But
surely.
that is a decision that they're going to have to make. Would they be willing to forego, say it is 50 or 60 million pounds for one more year of Rodri? That's going to be a decision that's not only going to be down to Enzo Maresca, because he will say, I want Rodri to stay and start my new era. But ideal scenario from a club's perspective, they want Rodri not only to start Enzo Maresca's era, they want him to be there for years to come. Yeah, they want him to sign a new contract. They want to tie him down for a bit longer.
I've got to stop you there, Dharmesh. I'm hearing there's breaking news. Michael.
Yes, sorry. This is someone we're going to talk about very soon. Vinny Jr., obviously linked with Arsenal. Arsenal wanted him, but we can now confirm, and Real Madrid have confirmed, that he's extended his contract at Real Madrid until June the 30th, 2032. This is just broken on Real Madrid's Spanish Twitter. Vinny Jr. has become one of the most important players in one of the most successful periods in our history. So, of course, Arsenal wanted him, but he, as we've said over the last few days, we expect him to remain at Real Madrid, and he will remain at Real Madrid. A contract extension until 2032.
Dharmesh, does this make sense to everybody apart from Arsenal?
No, I think it makes sense to everyone, including Arsenal. Arsenal were interested in Vinícius Jr., but they knew that the only way they were going to get Vinícius Jr. is if he didn't agree a new contract with Real Madrid. He is entering the final year of his contract. Gary Cottrell has been reporting throughout this transfer window, as Michael alluded to there, that Vinícius Jr. was going to be at Real Madrid beyond this summer's transfer window. There was positive contract talks during the week between Vinícius Junior and the club. By all accounts, the relationship between Jose Mourinho and Vinícius Junior is a good one. They want him to be part of the long-term planning at Real Madrid under Jose Mourinho. After those positive contract talks, it reaffirmed Gary's story that he was going to stay beyond, and now Real Madrid have just confirmed it, and it's a 6-year contract. Arsenal were always aware that Vinícius Junior signing a new contract at Real Madrid, that puts an end to any interest that they could have. But while he still had a year left on his contract, it was always wise for Arsenal to keep an eye on his situation. And it should be noted here that Arsenal went into this interest for Vinícius Junior knowing that if he didn't sign a new contract, there was a likelihood that he would choose Arsenal number one, but also Arsenal were positioning themselves to be able to do a deal however big those financials were going to be. Because I know that was a question we were asking all week, how can Arsenal afford this? Well, clearly they could, because they would not show an interest in a player such as Vinícius Junior and all of the financials that are attached to Vinícius Junior without knowing that they could have done a deal if it was available.
But the good news for Arsenal, though, they're going for someone of that level.
Exactly.
Years and years we've had Arsenal making their squad bigger and better. Mikel Arteta made tough decisions at the start of his tenure. Yeah. Goodbye Ozil, goodbye Aubameyang. He got criticised for that. And now it's not about making their squad depth bigger. It's about adding one or two players, turning it from Champions League finalists to winners. I don't see this as a huge blow.
Yeah, I don't think this is like a snub and Arsenal have missed out on Vinícius Junior. Like I've explained before, Andrea Berta has that strategy where he will try and get down the line with 3 or 4 different targets. Now, Vinícius Junior, I don't know how far they would have got down the line with Vinícius Junior because there are still contract talks going on with Real Madrid. That pursuit of Vinícius Junior is going to accelerate if they are getting indications from Vinícius Junior and Real Madrid this contract might not get signed. But clearly they've had positive contract talks during the week, and you could argue, cynics will say, well, has Vinícius Junior maybe used Arsenal's interest to try and get a better deal at Real Madrid? There might be an element of that, but that doesn't discount the fact that Arsenal were genuinely interested in bringing a player of his stature to the Emirates.
OK, so Vinny Jr. stays at Real Madrid, and they've added in that position today as well, Michael.
Yeah, Yan Diamonde from RB Leipzig, a huge deal worth up to £120 million, 107 million guaranteed. We get this a lot now on the transfer show. Guaranteed, straight fee, £107 million. Now, we've spoken about him before, PSG, Liverpool, Arsenal, City. Every top club has watched this player, but he is going to Real Madrid, and we look at who Real Madrid have signed. Bernardo Silva, we know very well. Ibrahima Conte, Denzel Dumfries, and of course Marc Cucurella, we know. The most expensive African player of all time, second most expensive teenager after Mbappe going to PSG. And he had a trial at Chelsea in 2023, what might have been.
And they said, don't want him.
Well, yeah, I mean, trials can be difficult. But you see there, I mean, look at the players on show there. Mbappe, obviously now at Real Madrid, got booed a lot, didn't he, last season? We'll see how he gets on next season. Jude Bellingham, of course, Real Madrid. There's a bit of a theme here, a Real Madrid theme. But it's a big deal for Real Madrid and huge trust in, obviously, Jose Mourinho as well. And I'm so intrigued to see Real Madrid under Jose next year.
Darmish, is it me? But this seems like a lot of money for a player who isn't proven.
It might just be you.
It might be me.
No, what I would say is two things. Market forces will dictate a price, number one, but also when people say, right, this player is worth this much, so this player has to be worth this much, so we're going to compare. There is an element of that. But then what you also got to take into consideration is how much is the player worth to RB Leipzig, how he performed for that particular club, and what amount of money is it going to take for them to replace somebody like Yan Diamonde. So they will say, this guy is the jewel in our crown at the moment, so that is going to dictate part of our pricing. And when I say market forces as well, Michael mentioned it there. This wasn't a one-horse race. This wasn't just Real Madrid going for him. There were loads of other teams around European football, big clubs, Liverpool, PSG. It looked like all the money he was going to end up there. They were all interested in Yan Diomande. And when you have clubs like Liverpool, PSG, Real Madrid, all interested in the same player, the selling club they're rubbing their hands because they're thinking, well, we can play these clubs off each other. It can almost become an auction. We can put this price as high as we want to make it. And so they ensured it was going to be a record sale for that football club. As Michael mentioned there, the biggest biggest transfer fee for an African player as well. And it could rise to £120 million.
But Darms, it's costing them a fortune. They've just extended Vinny Jr.'s contract. Where's he going to play?
Well, he can play with Kylian Mbappe and Vinícius Jr. I think Real Madrid...
What, on the right, you mean?
Yeah, he can play on both wings. I just wonder whether Real Madrid might have been putting a little bit of pressure on Vinícius Jr. as well from their side. They could have said to Vinícius Jr., we want you to stay, okay? And if you sign a new contract, you're going to be a mainstay of this team. We see you on your favoured left side. We see Kylian Mbappe down the middle. And we've got this young kid coming from RB Leipzig, 19 years old, quite raw, but he has got a really high ceiling. He can play on the right-hand side. If you don't sign a new contract, what shall we do? Well, this kid we're bringing in, he can play on the left side as well. You might find your game time a little bit limited. I wonder whether those conversations might have been mooted around Vinícius Jr. just to add that little bit of pressure. But it is clear that they brought in Yan Diomande to play alongside Vinícius Jr.
Yeah, you're not going to pay that
Kylian.
much to sit him on the bench, right?
100%.
Will we see Barcelona now really aggressively go for Rodri? Now we know that rivalry.
Well, they clearly want him, but I mean, we're talking different positions. Real Madrid definitely want Rodri. That looked like a one-horse race earlier on in this transfer window. Sorry, two-horse race. It's going to be out of them and Manchester City, but now Barcelona are banging it.
All right, let's stick with midfielders as we've just spoken about Rodri there. Let's talk Bruno Guimaraes. He's been a real theme. Darmish, is he an Arsenal player yet?
No, but it is close. It is close. Remember, he was given permission to leave Newcastle United's training camp in La Manga yesterday, and he flew into London after a £75 million deal was agreed between Arsenal and Newcastle United. The latest information that I have is that he has been having a medical today, and we do know that these medicals take more than just a day, even though there are reports that he's completed that medical. The information that we have is that it could still be ongoing. The finishing touches of that medical could happen in the next 24 hours. But as soon as he was given permission to leave that La Manga training camp, this deal was going to accelerate. And we expect maybe a formal announcement could come as soon as the next 24 to 48 hours.
And those inside Newcastle are calling it Newcastle 2.0 because of all the changes, the signings, the departures. And Matthias Geisler was talking about the departure with us a little earlier.
I met him quickly, but the decision was already made. But it was a nice conversation, a fantastic player, but also a great human being. So it's tough, but for him also next challenge, and we need to deal with it on a later stage. Again, we trust the players who are here already, but we will also see some changes.
So, Bruno almost out of St James's Park. What do you make of the way that he's played this, Darmish?
I think it's all been very, very respectful. When you look at it on face value, in that he has done everything that Newcastle United had asked of him with regard to turning up to the La Manga pre-season training camp. When you compare to what happened with Alexander Isak, who refused to train, who refused to play, we didn't see that from Bruno Guimaraes. So on the one side, yes, you could say he's done this respectfully.
There's a but coming here, isn't there?
And he did say also, he made it clear to Newcastle United, I want to go to Arsenal, provided you get a fee that is acceptable to you. However, cynics will say, in the build-up to this agreement of a deal of £75 million, Bruno Guimarães' representatives have kind of engineered a move for Bruno Guimarães to go from Newcastle to Arsenal, because Arsenal had been £1 million we could have sold Bruno Guimarães for, because Sandro Tonali, some people would say that Guimarães, even though he's older, is a better player and is worth more to Newcastle than Tonali was, and yet they're getting less money for Bruno Guimarães compared to Sandro Tonali. So him engineering this move, that's a cynic's way to approach it, but has that cost Newcastle United some sort of transfer fee? We spoke to a fanalist, Lane Husband, and a Newcastle fan yesterday. The question I asked him was, what kind of reception is he going to get in mid-November when Arsenal come to St James's Park, if he's in the starting lineup there for Arsenal? I expected the answer to be he's going to get a great reception, because this has all been approached really respectfully. But Lane and a couple of other fans that I've spoken to in this building have said Alexander Isak, universally, he will be booed. It will be a toxic reception he's going to get. With Bruno Guimarães, it could be split. It could be 50-50 with regard to Guimarães.
I think he knew what he was going to go to Arsenal when he joined up on the pre-season tour. I think he's had to be careful, because those shots that we saw him winning the Carabao Cup, he said he was a Geordie. He knew what it meant for them winning the trophy. Newcastle fans knew that Isak and Tonali weren't Newcastle people. He was a captain. He's had to play it quite carefully. And I think Newcastle fans just want to move on.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to move on. Transfer show, which means breaking news right at the top of the programme. What have you got, Michael Bridge?
It's big breaking news, and it's for you, Leeds United fans. You have signed England goalkeeper James Trafford from Manchester City for a club record fee. Now, the deal was worth an initial £40 million plus add-ons, and he's joined Leeds United on a 5-year deal. And his arrival takes Leeds spending to north of around £70 million. Now, we understand Trafford was Leeds' top goalkeeper target, and they hope to bring stability to what has been a problem position for some time, we understand. But this is a really, really big signing for Leeds United. Of course, Harry Wilson as well, brilliant for Fulham, Premier League experience, and now James Trafford has signed for Leeds United from Manchester City for a club record fee for initial £40 million plus add-ons.